Hello and a good evening, or good afternoon rather.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Flying Pigskin Show. I'm Keenan Singleton. If you're looking for Hard Red Rifle, Mr. Ken Brew, luckily, he got the day off just like Mr. Andy Dalton. With me, of course, is Mr. Satin. Mr. Satin, feeling so fresh, so clean.
Trying to keep it clean.
And in the back row, we got the best crew in Cincinnati, I would say. Guys, what's going on back there?
It's the best crew in this room. So we'll start with that.
In the building.
Yeah.
Brian, the bearded one. Hello, Brian. Hello. Matt in the middle, the brains of the operation. Matt carries the batteries and the heavyweight.
Mike does.
Mike's
on the field every day, as you were, Keenan, down there for the debacle yesterday.
Libby, who finally saw the Browns win for the first time since 2001.
I'm doing a heavy game.
Wow.
And Mike Cannon, who controls the internet, is something that Ken Brew always says. You invented the internet with Al Gore, correct?
That's the story according to Ken Brew, and I'm sticking to it.
You get 49% of the credit, though, right?
Exactly.
And he runs WCPO.com.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
Well, we want to get you caught up, obviously, with what's going on with the Bengals. It's been a crazy, crazy Monday. Of course, Pete Rose finding out that he will not be reinstated, but we're talking football here today.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad day today, I think, all around. And you know, it started with the crosstown shootout, I think. You know what I mean? And
Also, you must have been rooting for the Bearcats.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, hey, Xavier is definitely a Final Four team this year, I feel like. But, yeah, I mean, I'm alma mater Bearcat. Come on.
Okay.
You know.
That was my first experience at the Crosstown Shootout.
Oh, nice.
It delivered on the promise. I really enjoyed my time at Cintas. It was great to see the game back at Cintas and no trouble,
Yeah.
no aggravation,
Right.
no brawl.
No, that happened yesterday. The brawls.
There was a lot of brawling. Obviously, we knew that was going to happen. But I just want to remind everyone how you can watch us and listen to us here on WCPO.com. You have several options. You can download the WCPO app. We're live streaming, of course, right now, as Mr. Satin is showing
That's
you. I don't
you
know.
right there.
Wow, that's a good-looking dude. Those are good-looking socks, too. We're on demand, online, 24/7. So if you're late night and you're kind of tired of Cinemax, you can check us out.
Is anyone ever tired of Cinemax? Can you get tired of it? I guess so.
And of course, we have the audio podcast available on iTunes. So, Satin.
Ooh.
Crazy Sunday.
Yeah, it really was. It was, you know, right off the bat, I think that was Dalton's worst pass of the season. And then he has to go and break his thumb. I mean, it was just tears from there.
You don't question the result, though. You like to see a football player trying to make a football play. I question the play call, and I'm maybe Hugh Jackson's #1 fan. The man loves Tupac. The man loves Drake. I'm down with Hugh Jackson, but stop being so cute in the red zone. You have Jeremy Hill.
Yeah.
Tyler Eifert, at that point, he might not have been in the game at that point.
Right.
But you have all these weapons. Why are you trying a screen pass to Gio Bernard inside the 5-yard line? I have to question it. I hate being a Monday morning quarterback, but I have to question the play call right there.
Yeah, I mean, at least throw it up high enough for AJ to get it or pound the ball. That's the one thing, too, yesterday that really, I mean, we did not control the ball. You would even think with AJ
Time of possession, right?
Yeah, I mean, we just got killed. I never saw us with the ball at all. I went in to grab a beverage, adult beverage, come back. Steelers still have the ball. You know, every single time that happened yesterday, we just couldn't get the ball at all. And you come in with a backup quarterback. I'll be the Monday morning quarterback.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and you come in with a backup quarterback. I mean, I like that they're trying to stretch the field. It obviously worked to AJ, but that's when you know you have to pound the ball.
Yeah, and I was surprised with you mentioning that. When I saw AJ come in, I thought, okay, this is a Jeremy Hill, Gio Bernard game right now.
Totally.
And it wasn't. It wasn't at all. His first play was a pass.
Yeah.
Second play was another pass.
Right.
So I was kind of surprised. I was like, Hugh may be trying to outthink himself a little bit here, and I think that is kind of the problem I'm seeing with Hugh from time to time. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
Exactly. Yeah. He was doing that yesterday, and he was trying. You could tell, and he does this with Dalton some. They're both better at it because they're used to each other. But he was trying to call those plays that are theoretically safe.
Yeah.
You know, like the pick six was one that if he does it quickly, that defender's not on him. But he hesitated, looked the other way, and then he went back to it. And it's supposed to be a play that won't get him in trouble, and he'll be able to complete it. But yeah, it's just a matter of experience. I think AJ's going to be fine long term, but this is baptism under fire.
That was a great play by Tuitt, is what that was.
Yeah.
True.
Man, nice play. I mean,
Yeah, and sometimes they get coached up too. I mean, the Steelers are a great team, obviously. Let's not take anything away from them.
Like the guy we brought up earlier in the show, Pete, when Pete was a manager and they would come in and talk to him about the game afterward, he'd look at the reporters and say, they pay the guys on the other team too.
Exactly. Exactly. And the Steelers had everything to lose right there. I mean, as much as it was about the Bengals trying to, clinch a playoff spot, the Steelers were a desperate team. That was their playoff game, and they played like it. And they came in here and they took it.
It's crazy though, because if you think about Bengals and Steelers at home, we should have an advantage in that game. But they come in year after year.
Everywhere.
Right. They come out year after year and work us at home. I mean, I think we've won 5 games at home against the Steelers in the last 10 years, it seems like.
No.
I'd love to hear that stat.
It's not even that many. Mike might be able to help us out. I know at the beginning, when Paul Brown Stadium opened, the Bengals went like 2-8 in the first 10 years. They beat them a few times up there. They don't have the worst record against them. But, yeah, at Paul Brown Stadium, it's been open for about 13 or 14 years, and I think we've got 3 or 4 wins against the Steelers.
So do you guys still feel like the Steelers are the big brother in this division? I mean, let's count out the Ravens right now.
I haven't stopped thinking about them at all this year. When they were 8-0, I thought
they're lurking.
Roethlisberger. I mean, think about what they've gone through. They haven't had a quarterback for we're going to not have a quarterback for a few weeks, maybe the rest of the season. They've already been through that, and they're 8-5.
They didn't have their best. They don't have their best player, their running back. I mean, Le'Veon Bell missed the first 2 games with the suspension, and then he got injured when they played the Bengals.
Williams looked sharp though. I mean, it doesn't matter. Next man up.
Yeah.
I will say, hey, our defense held him. Ben didn't stretch the field. I mean, you didn't see Antonio Brown getting those big, huge touchdowns against the Bengals, so that was nice. What was not nice was Burfict going out every other play, either fighting or something was wrong with the neckish. Every other play, it seemed like.
I have to bite my tongue with Burfict because I'm not a Bengals fan. I cover the team.
What?
I'm not a Bengals fan, but if I were a Bengals fan,
Jason.
What's happening in the show now?
If I were a Bengals fan, he's one of those guys where I'm really frustrated with because he's clearly letting the emotion of the game supersede his job.
Right.
And you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can maybe do that in a relationship, but you can't do that in football. I don't know what's going on with this dude. I mean, the last game with the Le'Veon Bell situation, I know his teammates have tried to back him up, but it was a silly play. It was a foolish play. You don't celebrate after you injure a guy, especially on their sideline. You don't start a fight before the game.
Right.
And then you don't, every time you make a tackle, you don't have to get into a shoving match. And that's what it was with him.
Yeah, it seems like, you're constantly fighting that uphill battle against the refs, against your own teammates, and the Steelers as well when you're doing that stuff. So,
you can't beat all 3.
No. And I love the emotion, but you're right. You got to check that a little bit, I think the line is you have to check yourself
before you wreck yourself.
Well, let's bring in one of a former Bengal defensive player and a standout from Western Hills High School. Rodney, how you doing, and what did you think about the game yesterday? Yeah, you with us? You with me, Rodney?
Look at those guns.
Looking good.
He can hear us, Rodney. Can you hear us, brother?
Hello.
Rodney Heath, how you doing?
I think we're working on the audio.
Rodney, can you hear us?
We're going to have to adjust. How you doing, Rodney? He's making adjustments.
Well, while we're waiting for Rodney, Satin, you're pretty comfortable in these lovely chairs from Ed Hartman and Furniture Fair?
Yeah, man, they did a nice job on these.
I don't know if you've been in them, Jason. Reach down. There's a button on the side. You can pop that thing up.
Hang on.
Right here.
Uh-oh.
Don't go too far.
Push the front of the button.
One. Let me see if I can.
We got it.
There it is. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, you get the dirty oranges up there. Whoa, I'm going way back. Hey.
How we doing with Rodney, guys?
Well, I don't know. Rodney, wave to me if you can hear me.
No, I don't got nothing.
Oh, wow.
No, Rodney. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we can hear you, Rodney.
Can you hear me? Yeah, what's up, fellas?
Rodney, what's going on? You were at the game yesterday.
Huh?
You were at the game yesterday, checking out the fashion. And you saw, of course, Andy go down. In the locker room yesterday, everyone seems to have rallied already behind AJ. They seem to have a lot of confidence in a guy who's only played sparingly. Where do you see this team going now with a backup quarterback?
Well, I mean, one thing, first of all, can you guys hear me clear?
Yeah, we got you, baby.
All right.
Looking good, too.
All right. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Now, here's the thing. Everything that went down yesterday with Andy going down, especially on the offensive side, you got to really think that AJ didn't have any snaps all week. I think I talked about this yesterday.
Right.
And all the things that kind of happened with that, that's why, the OC was going into a whole different game plan. It's like he didn't know what to expect from AJ. So now I think with weeks of preparing and then trying to figure out what his skill sets are, you'll see that, he can probably do some of the similar things that Andy does, but, we can't expect him to be Andy. He's going to have to manage the game. And the team's going to have to rally around him, and you're going to have the running game get picked up. You're going to have the receivers continue to, make plays for him. You can't expect the MVP performance like what Andy was giving us, but one thing you can say is if he can manage the game and the defense picks up, we should be okay.
Were you surprised that they didn't lean on that running game a little bit more? I guess that's what's been troubling to me all season is that they really haven't gotten this running game clicking. And now that Andy isn't in, you have to get it together, and it seems like you have to fast forward everything to get ready for next week.
It kind of seemed like they were pressing a little bit because, like you said before, they weren't getting the ball as much either.
Yeah.
Because Pittsburgh controlled the game so much, it almost seemed like they wanted to get quick strikes in order to, get more points. And as the game started getting out of hand, you kind of got away from the running game. So now it's like, you weren't ahead. So now they can't rely on the running game like they want to. And, Andy only played, 9 plays. So it was almost like, okay, well, we tried to answer and they didn't. Then Pittsburgh went down and kicked another field goal. So they probably started stressing. Plus, they're sitting there like, okay, what can we do with AJ? We didn't take a snap with him all week. Right. So what are we going to do with him?
Well, you played on the Bengals team that had a little bit of a quarterback controversy when you played. I don't think there's going to be a controversy here unless A.J. McCarron does play like Tom Brady, who he mentioned yesterday after the game. I think this is still Andy's team. But how does that kind of change the dynamic of a team when you have a new guy come in like this?
Well, we can't do anything. The one thing the dynamic will be with this situation is, they can't get any worse. I don't think they can. If you work with this guy, let's be real. He's not a free agent that just came in. It's not a guy that he didn't go through a training camp. They know this guy. So they know AJ enough to where everybody knows him. Chemistry should be okay because it's not like it's a new guy you're bringing in. So, and he can play. So it just depends on how, they handle him and how they plan on doing the things the next couple of weeks and don't panic. I think, that's the worst thing. If they panic and they start trying to do things they're not accustomed to doing, then we can have a problem.
I think you're right, too. Keep pounding the ball. And, it seems like he's got a little magic going on with AJ to AJ.
Right.
So I think if he can build on that, that's a pretty nice move there.
I felt bad in a lot of ways for AJ. Think about the situation this kid is going into. Division is on the line. You're playing your biggest rival. You lose the leader, the NFL's leader in touchdown receptions before you even get into the game. You have 2 drives within your own 5-yard line. Talk about trying to go into a game against all odds. Shout out to Phil Collins. And try to win a game. Incredible adversity that he tried to play through.
Those numbers aren't that bad either.
No, they aren't.
A lot of times those numbers will win you a football game.
You take away that pick six and it looks a quite bit different. The defense for the Bengals was obviously able to hold up. What did you think about the secondary? It was so banged up, Rodney, and they were still able to kind of keep Ben somewhat in check, especially on those deep balls.
Well, that's the thing. I think it was one of those. I think I was talking to Poacher, and we were like, I think they're going to play a little bit more of a keep everything in front of you type of scheme today. They didn't want to give up the deep ball. They wanted to have the Steelers try and drive, and which in turn, that's what they were doing, pretty much driving the ball. And, even with the rookie Shaw out there, he didn't play bad. He actually was covering some deep balls. He was in position when Nelson got that pick on 1. So, they can do well. They just got to get healthier because I don't know what's going on with George Ioka. We don't know how the linebacking core is going to be. So it just depends on how they can put it together because if you can stop people and get the ball back to the offense, I think they'll be fine. And let's be real. AJ didn't take it, like I said, he didn't take any snaps at all during the week.
Yeah.
Imagine how well he can be with some snaps during the week.
Well, thank you for taking some snaps with us, Rodney. You have fun in that household as the 4th best athlete in there. I know it's tough for you. A former NFL cornerback, and he's the 4th best athlete in his house.
Yeah, ain't that the truth, man? I'm gonna take us out. Later, fellas.
Have a good one, Rodney. Let's move on now. Let's take a look at the AFC North roundup now. Bengals losing that game. They don't clinch the division. The Steelers, as Matt said, they were creeping up, and here they are. They are definitely within shouting range of making this division really interesting.
I don't like it.
Yeah, they've lost a few more games in the AFC. The Bengals would almost have to lose every game. Certainly, they'd have to lose the last two. If winning this week isn't as good because it's an NFC team, but Pittsburgh already has 4 losses against AFC competition. Head to head, we're going to be a split, and we'd have to lose to the Ravens to make the division record a tie. But it's still, I mean, if the Bengals can just win one of the last 2, but both those are going to be tough. They're going to be the toughest 2 of the last 3 they have. I mean, they'd almost have to have a total collapse. And with the unknown of AJ, I think McCarron's going to be okay. But you just don't know. He could go out there and implode, or he can come out there and shine. It's a mental thing at this point, whether he can handle it.
Well, this is what a lot of Bengals fans wanted. Remember, preseason, they wanted A.J. McCarron. They didn't have the faith in Andy. So be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it.
Right. I guess that goes back to the booing.
Yeah.
Right at the softball game.
Yeah.
And it's like, you look off, on and off the field, what Dalton has done in this town. I mean, he obviously wants to be here. He wants fans. He's listening to fans. It's not like you can't. You know. So you just now you gotta feel for the guy, and you just hope when he comes back. We hope to get the bye week as a fan, but we got the Niners.
Right.
Going out to Denver is going to be tough. But I hope they put Peyton in.
Speaking of the Niners, how do you lose to the Browns? How do you not only lose to the Browns, but you get blown out by the Browns?
And you make Johnny Manziel look like he knows how to play football.
Yeah, and we all know that's not true.
Christmas miracle.
Libby just screamed lies.
And the Niners scored a garbage touchdown at the end. It was
they went on a long drive.
3.
Yeah, their offense was wholly inept yesterday. I mean, the Browns actually looked like a competent NFL team, although they look like an Arena League team with these jerseys and pants that they're wearing.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that.
But Cleveland, I guess at this point, does Johnny stay? Do we feel like he's going to be back next year? I would have said a couple of weeks ago it's a wrap. He's in Dallas next year. He's in San Francisco possibly next year. But I mean, if he keeps playing like this, he might be back.
He's one party away from working
from the Mr. Satin Hall of Fame.
That's right. Hey, we had the bid on him. We were trying to take him out. So I mean, he's one party away from being in Dallas. I think that's what we can say about
And on the Ravens getting blown out. I mean, the Ravens at this point, I mean, just shut it down.
Yeah, they're looking for draft picks right now.
Yeah, as you should. I mean, you got Jimmy Clausen now playing at quarterback for them. Running game is terrible. Seattle looks reborn. Seattle looks like that Super Bowl contender that they were thought to have been before the season started. It looks like they really have gotten it together since Jimmy Graham got hurt, which is somewhat ironic.
Legion of Boom is back.
Yeah.
Yeah, which team would you rather be right now, the Cincinnati Bengals or the Seattle Seahawks? They are so much more looking like a team that's going to do something, to do some damage in the playoffs.
They have their starting quarterback.
Right, and he's on a roll. I mean, they said he's thrown 16 touchdowns in the last 4 games.
And break up Doug Baldwin. I mean, he's been amazing lately.
It's funny too when they go out there and spend all that money on a tight end.
Yeah.
And when he goes down, like the whole team is like back to these no-name guys, right? And they're killing it. It's crazy.
That was the formula for them. I mean, you spent money on defense. You didn't spend a lot of money on offense. They kind of lost their identity, I feel like, by going after Graham. Marshawn Lynch is, paying Marshawn Lynch that big money. I mean, I think that kind of, changed what they were trying to do.
Even when Graham was healthy, they didn't use him that much.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of weird, but.
Well, let's move it forward now. I think we're going to head out and talk to Bob Holtzman, a former WCPO employee who was at the game.
Current NFL game day on ESPN reporter.
He's big time.
I know.
Now.
He's big time.
I just want to give us some love.
That's right. He's gone way beyond our little sphere that we live in. How you doing, Bob?
Big time, huh? Yeah, no, I'm doing fine.
That's right, big time. That's what we call you here.
We need to update Bob's picture. He has a nice goatee now.
That's what I heard. I heard he had the Movember thing going, and I think he saved a little bit of it. Is that what happened, Bob?
Yeah, I'm sort of indecisive on the whole facial hair thing, so I figured I'd try it. It's real easy to get rid of, I hear. So,
yeah. Hey, Bob, I'm rocking it. Bob, I'm rocking it. You do it too, man. Let's talk the game yesterday. You had a report yesterday saying that team officials have confirmed that Andy will be out for the regular season. Best chances are for him to come back during the playoffs. You have any update on that?
No, because we're waiting at this point for Andy Dalton to get news from his hand specialist, which he told me he thought his appointment was this afternoon. I have not heard anything from him or anybody else today. But yeah, last night it was very clear that what the best case scenario, what they were hoping for, was that maybe he could be back for the playoffs. I had one player tell me, maybe if we make it to the Super Bowl, he'll be back for that. But the player went on to say, I'm not feeling real optimistic about either at this point, which makes sense. Wow. So, it was devastating. This is, deflating all the different words you can use for a team that, had talked all year about taking that next step, and now Here they are so close to being able to take that next step and losing their quarterback.
And it's sad because that's what the storyline has been. Who cares about the regular season? Let's get into the playoffs. We have to win a playoff game. And now, I still think they make the playoffs, but that storyline is going to continue, especially if Andy Dalton isn't able to come back. Do we think, you're saying somewhat maybe Super Bowl is, one player we're saying, if it's a bye week, does he make it back then for that second game? Well, if they play the first week, is he back for that?
Keep this in mind. It's, if Andy Dalton were a linebacker or a defensive lineman or what, you can sort of put that thing in a cast and pat it and go. But it's his throwing hand. It's his thumb. It's not something that he can play where it's halfway healed. You got to wait for it to heal. And obviously nobody knows at this point how bad the fracture is. That's something he'll find out today. But again, best case scenario from people I've talked with within the organization, they were thinking maybe 4 weeks. And 4 weeks from today, the wild card games have already been played. So, I'm not sure how deep in the playoffs they'd have to get before he gets back. Best case, obviously worst case, is they could play right through best case for the team, worst case for Dalton is they play right through the Super Bowl and he's still not ready to come back. But I think you're looking at a window, and again, it's just my guess from connecting the dots, of somewhere between maybe the second week of the playoffs and the Super Bowl. And the question at this point is will they even be playing the second week of the playoffs if he can make it back by then?
A.J. McCarron yesterday, what a way to get introduced fully into the NFL. Kid has a lot of confidence. Marvin has a lot of confidence in him. The locker room seems to have a lot of confidence in him. What's your take on what you saw, I guess, in the locker room and I guess at that podium from A.J.?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised by the amount of confidence that I heard and that I saw him playing. He's you can't get any higher level of college football than where he played. He won a national championship at Alabama. He's dealt with pressure. He's dealt with big stadiums. He's dealt with national television. He's dealt with all that stuff before. So that's not the issue. The issue is, we've seen the growth that Andy Dalton has made this year. It took him 5 years to get to this point, 2 offensive coordinators. I don't know that you can expect A.J. McCarron in 3 weeks to be ready to play playoff football. But, he made some great throws yesterday. He made a couple of really bad ones, too. And that's, you go back to Andy Dalton's Achilles heel in the playoffs. It's always been those 1 or 2 or 3 plays where you scratch your head and think, what was he thinking? That's what A.J. McCarron looked like to me yesterday. And I don't know that anybody feels all that confident going into a playoff game, whether it's at home or on the road or whether they have a bye or whatever, with A.J. McCarron as the starting quarterback.
Well, now he has an opportunity, though, and I think that's all he really ever wanted.
Right.
So he's got this opportunity, and, you got the 49ers. Hey, that's a pretty good opportunity to get some snaps with, right?
Yeah, at least he can kind of wean himself into it. He doesn't have to take that big meal right off the bat. He doesn't have to play, well, I guess he did. He did play the Steelers already. But the 49ers at least will be his first start. It's a road game, though, so that does, make things a little bit more difficult.
Bob, you and Keenan were in the locker room. You said that they seemed to have confidence. What was their attitude just about the Steelers? There were many of the games that the Bengals play with the Steelers, and I think probably a lot of the games that the Steelers play in general. But there was a lot of chippy play, people fighting after the whistle, getting in each other's face. Vontez was doing his thing, like Keenan mentioned earlier. What was their attitude just about the fact that they lost that game? And with McCarron, do they think if we played him again tomorrow, we could beat him? What do they feel like after something like that?
Well, I'll tell you, that all that talk was, I think, overshadowed by, number one, the Dalton injury, and number two, just by the chippiness of the game. A.J. McCarron seemed like storyline number 3 yesterday because there was so much other stuff going on. I covered the game 6 weeks ago up in Pittsburgh, it was as hard a hitting game as I've seen all year. Make what you want of Burfict's reaction to the Le'Veon Bell tackle when he got hurt. I'm still not sure what that was all about. But what I saw yesterday was, I thought crossed the line. And there were a number of plays. There's just too much going on during the play, after the play, before the game. This stuff needs to be somehow reeled in. And I'm sure you guys have probably talked about what Andrew Whitworth said after the game. He basically blamed it on the NFL and the commissioner's office for not taking action after Vince Williams, the Steelers linebacker, tweeted or Instagrammed or whatever it was about Vontaze Burfict. Basically made a death threat against Vontaze Burfict after that last game. The NFL did nothing, according to Whitworth, and Whitworth said, you know what? When somebody makes a threat against you outside of the football field, that's something that you don't take lightly. And that's why he said Burfict reacted the way he did in the warm-ups yesterday. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but
that's a perfectly good point.
The reason why it concerns me is, there's a real chance these teams could meet again in the wild card game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And something needs to be done between now and then to make sure that this stuff doesn't continue, because somebody is going to get hurt on a cheap shot, on a blindside hit, on a hit, way out of bounds, on just something dirty, and that doesn't need to happen.
Yeah, and Michael Johnson also addressed that in the locker room after the game. He mentioned that we talked about this all week. The coaches drilled this into us all week that, don't let the emotion of the game get to you. Only play up and through the whistle. Don't play after the whistle is over, because that doesn't show that you're tough. That's not part of the game.
Well, but did they say anything about before the whistle? That's where Vontaze got. I was told yesterday morning by a coach that one of the first things they did last Monday when they started preparing for Pittsburgh was sit down and talk to Burfict and say, look, everybody knows he's an emotional player, but they knew all week that he had to keep it under control. And it's hard, watching him play as often as we do, it's hard to see him keeping it under control because he doesn't very often. And I know that's his style of play, and I know his teammates sort of feed off that energy, but it's teetering right on that line between, smart and really dumb.
You're 100% right, Bob. Bob, thank you for joining us, and I love the goatee, man. Don't change your thing about it.
I appreciate that.
All right, Bob. Let's move on now to the AFC playoff picture. And the good thing that I guess came out of yesterday was that Denver also lost. So the Bengals still have a bye. I guess if the playoffs started today, they're number 2 seed. They would still have a bye going into the playoffs. So in that way, there are still some positive things to take from yesterday, even though Andy going down, Eifert getting hurt, a lot of things going on. That AFC playoff picture, though, you're starting to see the Chiefs and the Jets kind of come on a little bit.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I like seeing the Chiefs in there rather than, seeing the Steelers in there. So go Chiefs.
It's a tiebreaker right now. Ryan's got the graphic, the next few teams, and the Steelers have the same record as the Chiefs and the Jets.
Are they? What seed are they? Are they number 7 or number 8?
They would be 7 right now.
Okay.
They're 8-5, and there's a 2-game drop to the next teams. So the Steelers are right there, and the Chiefs and the Jets got to keep winning, or else the Steelers will be in there. And
so it's basically 3 for 2 spots right now.
That's what it appears, unless somebody would win 3 and somebody would lose 3 and somebody would win 3. Yeah.
Oh, I guess if I'd look at the right side of the screen, I'd just
we just switched it. Yeah, he just changed it to first it was the NFC, but and I don't even if the Bengals get the bye, they could play the Steelers. I mean, I think the Steelers are going to be a hot team, and if the Steelers have to go in and play the Colts, they'll beat them, and then the Bengals would get them in the next week. I mean, you could even get a bye and still have to deal with it.
Are you guys? It sounds like to me that you guys are scared of the Steelers, is what it sounds like.
I'd like not to use that word, but yes. I mean, they've done nothing but, it goes back to when I was a little kid, but it goes back to people in this era, to the Carson Palmer thing, and people never get over that. You know what I mean?
It doesn't have to go back to when you were a kid. It just has to go back to yesterday. I'm
just saying, the fear, I'm just saying the fear comes from that history that is there, and they just always, when the Bengals started getting good 10 years ago, we thought maybe they were going to start getting over the hump, win some playoff games, and what happened? The Steelers won 2 more Super Bowls.
So that's a really appropriate time. Earlier we were talking about the Steelers record at Paul Brown Stadium.
Here we go.
Since 2000, the Steelers are 14-3 at Paul Brown Stadium.
That's ridiculous.
Wow,
that's insane.
See, yeah,
and you're also not talking about a Bengals team that was horrible. If you were talking about Libby's Browns.
Libby, just slug him, okay?
I am sitting awfully close to him. And also, Keenan was talking about Doug Baldwin. In the last 5 games, he has 515 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns.
Jeez.
Man,
That's
start
insane.
him in fantasy.
Yeah, big time. Also in that playoff picture, the Patriots just laid waste to the Texans, who I thought were kind of turning things around, and we're going to make that loss to the Bengals loss to them look really good. And I don't know what's going on with them. The quarterback situation's still shaky. Running back situation's awful.
Well,
they don't have an offense.
The Patriots make teams look bad.
True.
That's just plain and simple.
But the Patriots lost to the Eagles last week.
And when the Patriots, when they're on, just you can't. You have to be so on your game to be a team that can deal with them. And that they were on yesterday, and they've had a couple of off games this year. But when they're on, it's a whole nother level of football, in my opinion.
They're playing through their injuries, though. I mean, the Bengals can't make excuses. Everyone has had to deal with injuries. The Steelers had to deal with their share of injuries. The Broncos, obviously, without Peyton. The Patriots lost, Gronk and all their receivers. So, Raiders, Broncos, Raiders taking care of business. But we got to move on now because I'm being told I have to.
Oh, gotcha.
I have to
I was
move
gonna say
on.
watch out for the Jets, but they got Cowboys, and they got the Patriots last game. So
I don't know about the Jets. I don't believe in the Jets. I believe in their defense. I still don't believe in their offense. Are we ready to move along?
We're very ready. Julie Dolan, how are you this afternoon?
Hey guys, pretty good. How's it going?
Julie, what's going on in the newsroom? Have you rubbed Bill's head for good luck yet for the Bengals?
Yeah, we're just doing that back here.
Okay.
No, we're talking about social media. The sentiment, people are feeling a little rough today, I think. Not just because the loss, that was tough, but the injury, that's what everybody is waiting to hear about right now. People are tweeting, just waiting to hear about the doctor's appointment. I hope he's okay. We'll see what happens. But I think people are just feeling a little deflated about that and what's to come now. They're also talking about A.J. McCarron. Get this. I don't know if you guys mentioned this already. No Alabama quarterback has won an NFL game since 1987. That tweet, I think, right now has like 426 retweets. Everybody's talking about that.
Well, I guess you can make some history.
No, I'm sorry. I think I heard you. I just want to make sure I heard you right. No Alabama quarterback has won an NFL game since 1987.
Do we know who that is?
Is that
Stabler?
Okay, yeah. Now Keenan's throwing you a curvebeball. Who was it, Julie?
Who tweeted that?
No. Who was the quarterback in 1987?
Oh, God.
You don't know that off the top of your head, Julie?
No, I don't even think I can one
Okay, all right.
Alabama quarterback.
That's right. That was a good stat, though. You get points
Good
for that.
stat, right?
That was good.
Well done.
Here's another good one that's going viral. Rolling Stone tweeted, Andy Dalton's out. The sky is falling in Cincinnati. Why do the football gods hate the Bengals?
That's
It's
true.
so sad.
You know what, Julie? I'm gonna have to disagree just a little bit. I think
You don't
this
think
team,
so?
a little bit. I don't think that the sky's falling because injuries happen in the NFL to every team. So we can't, boo-hoo the Bengals for that. I do think, as I said before the season started, they don't have the highest ceiling, but they have a high floor. And I think that this isn't a team that's going to cater now that Andy Dalton is done.
All right, fair enough. One thing that's getting a lot of feedback, Adam Pac-Man Jones put out on his Instagram page, now this I think was the morning before the game, that he used a lot of expletives, so I'll just keep it PG. He said, shut up and play football, basically, right?
Right.
So it got all the fans heated. They're thinking, all right, if you're going to come out and say something like this and make this video, you better stand behind it. You better win the game. Well, he didn't. So then he went on Twitter the next day and he said, I still stand behind what I say. He said, we do have a chip on our shoulders. The Bengals do. And he said, and it's okay. We're 10-3. We're still all right. So I don't know. For me, I get there's this rivalry and I get that it's been around forever, but it seems like a little bit of poor sportsportsmanship. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean, it goes beyond football.
Yeah.
I think it goes beyond football, honestly. I don't think what we saw yesterday was football. That was boys. I don't think that was men on the football field. And I think, to Bob Holtzman's point, Burfict clearly not getting the point at this point of the season.
So, Jeff Rutledge, a journeyman NFL quarterback who won a national championship with Bear Bryant in 1979, was the last Alabama quarterback to win a game.
That was the last Alabama quarterback.
Who's the last SEC quarterback to win a game?
Johnny won a game yesterday.
Does that count?
Is he? I
Were they in
guess
the
they
Big
are
12
SEC.
or the
Well,
SEC?
I don't know. I'm too old. It changes too much. I don't remember. He didn't used to be SEC, but I think they might be now. I don't know. I can't remember.
Isn't Clemson, are they an SEC team?
No, they're ACC.
Yeah.
ACC.
Well, I'm sure, I'd have to think about it, but I'm sure there's a guy out there. Julie, thanks for taking us out to the Twitter world and Facebook and all that stuff. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, my favorite / least favorite part of the show. Mike, a.k.a. the real McCoy, is in the building. And him, just like I saw thousands and thousands of flags yesterday getting waved yesterday. Mike, you must be on cloud 9 right now.
No, not really. Remember
just a little.
When I brought in my little prop here, I thought it was going to be his neck, but it's his.
Wow. Oh. That was a legitimate snap.
Wow. He put a pencil in that rubber chicken just for a fact.
That's surround sound.
We just got some special effect money in the budget.
You know, under the Christmas tree, this Christmas ornament, you said last week it was Christmas ornament. I think there's a thumb under the tree now. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I'm gonna really dig it in real deep now, cause like I said, I don't know if you remember Keenan or not.
Yeah.
Early on, when they was talking like the Bengals Super Bowl, blah, 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 the Bengals was the most healthiest team in the league.
Right.
Okay, and they were playing like it too. But I said, you got to remember, you got to be healthy, lucky, and good. Now the health issues are coming in.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many players they got hurt, but once Pac-Man went down and some other people started going down, I said, okay, here go the wheels on the bus, getting ready to start falling off. Because you got to be healthy. And how many players dropped out yesterday? Was it 4 or 5 or something like that?
Eifert, Gilberry left the game for a little bit. A lot of guys ran into that locker room at some point yesterday.
You know, and that's the key right there. Now, to be honest, defense didn't do nothing yesterday in that game. They had a couple of sacks, but, you know, the defensive line didn't control anything. Roethlisberger was back there baking pies, cookies, eating ice cream.
He does that to every team.
Well, that's how the
Bengals stretch the field. That's his number 1 trait.
Okay, that's the trait. But the deal is, they're in the same division. The Bengals ought to know they got to get after him and stop this shenanigans of trying to fist fight on the field.
That was both sides.
Did anybody else think it wasn't going to say shenanigans?
Pittsburgh lured them into that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To me, and the Bengals are a better team than that, you know, but it's like some of the play calling yesterday, I didn't understand some of that stuff. And the challenge that Marvin Lewis had out there, didn't understand that. Oh, we got graphics
Let me ask you let me ask you this, Mike. You say every week that Andy Dalton sucks.
Mm-hmm.
A.J. McCarron, blank.
A.J. McCarron wants a spot in the NFL. He can play in the NFL. I like A.J. McCarron.
You like him more than Andy?
Oh, hell yes. Whoa. Yes. This boy's got a nice, strong arm. When they played Cleveland, they should have gave that boy some snaps then. In that Cleveland game, like the 3rd quarter, maybe the 4th quarter, they let him play for 3 minutes. That was a problem. He didn't have enough snaps to really get going. Now, this boy, everybody, y'all done talked about it before I even got here. He's from Alabama. 2 national championships. This boy can play football.
But we also just said that Alabama quarterbacks and SEC quarterbacks in general really don't do much in the NFL.
Exactly.
That's a team. It's a team game, though.
That's the past. This is the present. When this boy came on, he had told Dalton.
You're too old.
He told Dalton, I want your spot. He told him, I'm playing for your spot. So now, if he comes in here and shows that he can play at this higher level, Andy's not going to get that spot back because he's done for the rest of the regular season.
Breaking news.
I'm telling you,
not getting his spot back.
Andy Dalton will not get his spot back. You watch and see.
He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year,
I don't care. He was one of the best quarterbacks. Now, I guarantee you, mark my words, you haven't been listening to me. A.J. McCarron is going to take Andy Dalton's spot. Andy Dalton will not be back, maybe if in the playoffs, but he's not coming back. It's going to be A.J. McCarron the rest of the way.
So you think A.J. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying the only way A.J. takes a spot is if he wins the Super Bowl.
Well, I can't tell, Mike. Are you saying, Mike? Are you saying that? Are you saying that AJ's got his job for this season, or are you saying that if he goes, let's say,
okay,
in an alternate universe in the Bizarro world,
okay,
the Bengals go to the Super Bowl and win, and AJ McCarron's their quarterback? Are you saying that he just gets to keep his job through the end of this year, or that next year Mike will put him in and get rid of Andy?
Okay, first of all, they're not going to the Super Bowl.
I said in the Bizarro world.
No, I'm not going with Bizarro. I'm talking realness now. I'm not. I'm trying to tell you something because you guys,
I don't think McCoy.
You haven't been listening to me. Here's what's going to happen.
I apologize.
A.J. McCarron is going to play these next 3 games. He's going to play at such a high level. When the playoffs roll around, He will get in, and I hate to say it because I believe with him they can win a playoff game.
I was going to ask you that. You think
yes.
the Bengals will finally win a playoff game
yes,
under
with
A.J.
him.
McCarron? But
I think he is the one that's going to take them over the hump.
What gives you this confidence? Let me ask you this. What gives you this confidence in him? He's played, what, 3/4 of real NFL football? Where do you get this confidence from?
Because he's won 2 national championships. He's a hot dog. He wants it. He can feel it. He can taste it. You can just look in his eyes and tell that he's a competitor. You can tell a competitor when you look at him. And to
what color is A.J. McCarron's eyes?
You don't see any color. He looks straight through you. But I'm honest about it. I'm just trying to be honest. This kid is ready to play at the next level, and he don't want to give this spot up. And he's going to show that he's not going to give this spot up by what he does on the field. Look what he did yesterday.
I hope he does.
I think if
that's because the cover position, he hasn't learned that. He thought it was man-to-man coverage when the safeties came up and was playing. That's normally man-to-man coverage. But Pittsburgh tricked him, and they was in a zone. So they just tricked him. And once he figures out these kind of little traits and things like that, he's going to be okay. Now, I'm not jumping on the Bengals bandwagon. I'm just calling it the way I see it. And don't be shocked if the Bengals go out to San Francisco and lose.
But you have all this confidence. How do you, wait a second. You have all this confidence in him,
right?
But now you're saying don't be surprised if they go out there and lose.
The reason I say don't be surprised if they go out there and lose is the defense. If they pull the same crap that they did Sunday, that's going to be a problem.
What's the difference? Pittsburgh is one of the best offenses in the league. And I'll say this for the Bengals defense. Banged up, obviously, in the secondary, but it was a bend, don't break kind of mentality. How many field goals did they have yesterday? 4 field goals, Pittsburgh?
We kept the game in check.
Yeah. If they have Andy Dalton in that game, they might win that game.
Oh, no. Don't go down that road. Don't go down that road because remember the first drive of the game, Pittsburgh came down, they scored. The Bengals on their possession, they come down, that's when he threw that pick 6 and he got hurt. So don't tell me that they would have won with Andy in there. Maybe it would have been a better game, but in my heart, in what I seen, the way that defense was playing and they wasn't controlling the line of scrimmage, there's no way the Bengals
threw the pick 6 on the 1-yard line. I mean, he came down the field.
But that's what I'm saying.
Not a pick 6.
But he drove down the field. It was like the first game.
Right.
Pittsburgh scored. Bengals scored. So they had a chance. It wasn't like the Bengals wasn't moving the ball, okay?
They looked good.
Oh yeah, it was like
you're making our point.
They were about to.
He always does. He always makes it. He makes a circle.
He's covered
back
everything. A.J. McCarron's a better quarterback, but he's going to lose
in San Francisco.
You
lost me right there.
No. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised though. That's how the Bengals are.
So do you think they could beat the Broncos with A.J. McCarron? At Denver with the spot for a bye on the line.
Well, but they don't have. The 2 backup quarterbacks to be in the game. It's not like you have.
Right. Well, Peyton could.
But what I think,
Peyton's not coming.
I hope they put in Peyton.
Peyton's not.
That's a win.
What I think could happen is if they
remember, Pittsburgh's got to play Denver before the Bengals do.
Is it next week?
Yeah, Sunday. So, they may beat them up and bang them up before the Bengals even get to them.
I like that. That's a good call.
Well, right now, the Bengals are, like I said, they're limping into the playoffs. They're not doing this. Who are the best teams right now in the NFL that are clicking right now?
The Panthers and the Patriots.
Steelers.
And
the Steelers.
And Seattle.
Seattle, okay.
You see what I'm saying? They're doing this. They're not doing this, and that's what you have to do. You have to be consistent.
Well, let's see. Let's see how they respond to all these injuries. We can't make any grand, gestures or platitudes about what they're going to do until we see it. We have to see what they do next week against San Francisco. Even though that's not a great test, at least it's a road game and it's AJ's first taste of being an NFL star.
I think if they I think the Bengals will probably go to the playoffs anyway, just because probably they'd have to be a total collapse. And the pressure that they were going to feel if Andy Dalton was still the quarterback will not be there. I don't think. People are still going to want to win the playoff game, but if A.J. McCarron takes him there, they'll be like, we don't know whether he's just a kid. They'll almost be giving him an excuse before he goes in, which you don't want. You want to feel like you have to win the game, but it won't be like, you better win. You've screwed this up for the last 4 years. A.J. McCarron hasn't screwed this up for the last 4 years, and I think there'll be slightly less pressure, and he might be able to have a more fresh attitude, and the team won't feel that, the whole weight of the community on their shoulders. That's what I think, is that they'll have less stress or less pressure on them if A.J. can get them there and win a game.
Everyone else is going to have to step up. I think that's what you heard in the locker room. To a man, everyone said, I've got to do my job better. Even during the game, Andrew Whitworth got the entire offense in a huddle on the sideline and said, "Hey, it's time to step it up now, fellas." Now, obviously, they weren't able to do it. But maybe we'll see with the new game plan against San Francisco. Speaking of San Francisco,
we know what Mike wants.
Hold on. You talking about Whitworth? He is always the one that's getting called for false movement and holding.
Oh, I know.
I hate it. He's terrible at situations.
Yeah. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the
he's all
game.
pro.
But hold it.
He gets too many flags. I agree with Mike on that.
Like Tomlin said, it said certain times in a game that can cost you the game.
Between him and Andre
that's what
Smith,
he does. He
ridiculous.
makes penalties at a certain time of the game what costs you the game. And that's what I don't like about him. He's a hell of a football player, but you got to be mentally tough also. And before I let this get away, last week everybody in this room laughed at me.
Before
everybody in this room laughed.
I wasn't here last week, so
Andy Dalton wouldn't have 159 yards passing, and everybody, I'll give you $100. I bet you he will.
Hey, I was on that. I was trying to get that bet. I was.
Yeah.
You didn't want to take it, though.
We got Mike's prediction. Mr. Satin, what do you think Sunday?
Let's go around. 2-minute drill time.
I mean, come on. AJ McCarron, he's got the scrimmage game this week coming up. I think we get him to the third quarter and bring in the third string.
Full pad.
Get a little practice in.
I'm curious what they're going to bring in. Yeah, guys in the back bench, what do you think?
Well, I'm interested to see what happens with a week of practice with McCarron, throw into the A squad.
Prediction?
I can't call it.
I can't call it.
Come on.
I mean, it's the 49ers. I mean, they look terrible. We got to win this game. If we don't win this game, season's over, right?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
If we lose to the 49ers.
Well, you're just saying that's demoralizing, but you're saying
it's on the road, though. If we're at home, I would be a little bit more inclined to say yeah, but road games, you never know.
True enough.
I think they win, but I want to see them win running the ball for once.
Yeah.
Get it going. You got to get the running game going.
Matt?
I think they more than likely win. I don't like to predict necessarily whether I think a team's going to win or not. I think they'll play a good game. And I think the Niners aren't very good. What I think is, and I've thought this from the beginning, is the Bengals are a really good team top to bottom.
Yeah.
And they still are. And I think that, if they should be able to beat them, I think most journeyman quarterbacks could lead the Bengals to a win over the 49ers any day of the week.
Unfortunately for the Bengals, that bottom is starting to creep up because they keep losing the cream at the top. Libby, Mike, what do you guys think?
I just want to point out that
the Browns won.
Yeah, first of all, the Browns won last week. And I feel like a couple of weeks ago, this whole backbench was very much like, yes, the Bengals are going to win, and it's going to be this score. And now they're all, I don't really like
it's very cautionary backbench right now.
Yeah.
Mike?
I would. I'm going to defer my answer to Mike McCoy. I will say whatever Mike McCoy says.
Wow. All right, so am I going to be the only person who says definitively Bengals and an exact score?
Yes, I'll give it to you.
24-10 Bengals.
24-10 Bengals. Before we get to me, Matt, are you worried about your bet with Kimbrough at all? About it was what?
I'm not as worried as I was before. Now that bet looks a lot better, but I still think they'll probably win more than 11 games.
Well, I think Brew is worried now too.
But a week ago, I would have bet you I would lose. Now I'd say it's maybe 60-40 I lose.
You got a score for us, Real McCoy?
9-6, San Francisco.
No touchdowns?
Field goals?
Oh my God!
Yeah,
all
it's
field goal games.
They're all field goals. I'm just trying to keep it kind of peaceful, right? Because everybody's after me today in the building. I just got to kind of stay low, man. Duck below it, man. 9-6. Thanks,
did you give us a score prediction?
I say 33-10 Bengals.
Nice.
Day all day.
Nice.
33
all day.
points. That's quite a number.
Could happen.
Kick return there.
Go ahead.
All right, non-Bengal fan, what do you think?
I'm not a fan of anyone. I'm an
I
NFL
understand
reporter.
you're a journalist. I understand
exactly.
what you think's going to happen.
Thank you. I don't have my press pass on. But
Such a pro.
Yeah.
That's right.
The Niners are rough. They're a real rough team, and I hate to do this to Kaiser because Scott Kaiser, one of our editors in the newsroom, but the Niners, they don't have a defense. They don't really have an offense. At least the Bengals have a defense. So let's go 17-13 Bengals.
Jeez.
17-13 Bengals. I mean,
the Browns won like 30 to what?
24-10.
Manziel has
24
more.
to 10?
But look at it this way: Manziel has a lot more experience, both partying and football playing, than AJ McCarron does at this point.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a beauty queen for a wife, so that makes up for a little bit.
Yeah.
gosh.
That's because he just hooked up with all of them at the club.
All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap up this edition of the Flying Pigskin. It was a good time hanging out with everybody. Kimbrew will be back, not next week, but the week henceforth. That's going to wrap up this edition of the Flying Pigskin here at WCPO.com. Check us out every Monday at 1 o'clock on WCPO.
Day who?